follow-up question.
So Gary, your comment just now is there was a recommendation to approve the item as presented to us because you don't see a timing issue at this time?
No. Yes, that's my recommendation, although you might want to hear from the applicant on that issue.
Let's get the applicant up here and hear from the applicant then. Please state your name and address, if you would, please.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Shelley Bennett, 2279 Mosier Court, Moscow. The challenge that we're dealing with is not the eventual building permit. It's the planning for the building permit, that the buyer doesn't want to invest money without knowing that that lot's going to be available for his use. And so if we keep pushing it back, waiting for somebody to turn in an application, well, they can't until they know if they have a lot. So that's the challenge. We're pushing a business away when we should be helping them. So that's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Becker with Hodge & Associates, 405 South Washington. I just want to make a couple other points. Since the time of the ITD agreement, there has been a turn lane that extends past Rodeo and a dedicated left turn or middle turn lane on that road that was developed that wasn't part of that agreement. So it does alleviate some of the traffic pressures in that area. I know the traffic impact study will take a little bit of back and forth. There were some comments from ITD, and they were preliminaries. What the comments that I was sent was preliminary. And some of the assumptions they made were, in my opinion, incorrect. So I would like the time to back and forth and get that worked out correctly so that it can be a win-win for everybody. So, you know, if that impact study hinges on this, this development, then, it might scuttle this sale, and, then we've lost another business in town.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go to Tom, then I'm going to go to Wayne.
Yeah, I'm trying to be clear about the timing of the various pieces here. So the staff recommendation that exists within our packet says that we should have a condition that at the time of the lot line adjustment, we should be requesting. But that's not the case? Okay. So, and because Gary's current recommendation is now that we can just allow that to take place naturally because of the development agreement that already has that condition within it. That's my understanding of what's currently being said, right? Because the building permit, when a building permit is requested, it would trigger that as per the development agreement.
Bill, you want to answer that?
I think that's correct.
Is
I
that,
understand that
okay.
the development agreement covers all of the property, all
okay,
the
so
remainder of Lot 1 and Block 1.
Okay, so my only concern then, and I get the timing thing, I want to make sure that this can move forward, as it should, is if the there is some impact on where the driveway is to get into this new business that might take place in this location, and that affects, that affects the traffic, affects where that might go. If the design for the building and for the access doesn't take into account what ITD needs for accessing the highway, then I'm concerned that that's going to create additional slowdowns.
In the review?
Yes, I guess in the process of the review. Let's say the developer has this really great idea to access this one way, and they come forward, and then ITD says, wait a minute, we can't allow that to happen. Is that not a concern? I mean, it seems like we'd be fine allowing it to go forward as the recommendation is, but the process of getting the highway review or the ITD review could further delay it.
Bill?
I'm going to go to Wayne. He had a question. John, then I'll come back.
Well, I guess I wanted to.
You want an answer?
I'm trying to get an answer to this question of the timing.
The entrance egress is not on 95.
Okay, so as long as there's already a stated no egress on 95, then it's probably not an issue.
Correct. There would be no access onto 95 with the exception of the 16-foot wide skewed driveway. The access onto Rodeo was set some distance back, and none of the review comments from ITD related to the location of that access point as in relationship to the location of the intersection. So the proximity of that access point to the intersection was not a concern.
Okay, then I'm not.
The concerns were looking
That
at
addresses-
some of the
that addresses
assumptions,
my
the
concern.
trip distributions, whether actual turning movements were counted in the field. There were more of the traffic study, not necessarily the location of the access point. So I don't know that
Great. All right,
had an
well, that's-
initial concern
that's
with
fine.
ITD.
Then I'm good.
Wayne?
Go ahead and let Gary make his comment. Then I will.
So I guess if I could ask the applicant a question. Knowing that the development agreement and a building permit request triggers the traffic study,
Correct.
is approval of the lot division tonight without the conditions sufficient to meet the time frame that you're desiring to change tonight?
I'm concerned that there would be a lag time somewhere along the way that it might cause a problem.
Okay, but if tonight the council were to say, we remove that condition, the lot division is approved, does that meet your immediate needs?
Yes.
And if the council would like staff to bring a modification to the development agreement, council could so direct, and we could bring that to committee.
Yes.
Bill.
The key is being able to get them in the position to submit for the building permit. So if we can do that without telling them, you got this lot, IDT is going to come up with some recommendations. There's so few trips that are going to be generated by this new customer that this isn't going to trigger it. The traffic study includes a projection of everything that could be there. So there's time to be able to fit that. It works as long as we can tell them they have a lot to buy and they can submit for a building permit, and it can be approved without the study being completed.
That's different.
Okay. So I think what the council could do tonight is to remove the condition, if the council so desired. The lot division could be approved tonight without that condition. The condition, however, continues because it is in the development agreement,
Right.
which is a separate issue. Council could direct staff to bring, if the council would like, we could bring modifications similar to those made in the development agreement for the eastern duplex lots for consideration by the council at Public Works Finance.
We good? Okay, Dan?
Well, so, I mean, a traffic study's already been begun, submitted. We're just hashing back and forth on approval stuff, according to Scott. I think that, I don't even know if we need to bring back the development agreement at this time, because, like they say, they just need a lot, they need something to sell. So, with that, I would make a motion that we approve the lot line adjustment request and eliminate that condition, and everything else stays the same right now, as far as the development agreement with the rest of the property, because, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. They're going to apply for a building permit along with all this transportation studies moving forward.
I'll
So
second that.
we'll see what happens when that happens, and if there's a problem, they'll come back. I mean, there's a 30-day process for building permit. We got 2 committee meetings in that time, and a council meeting in between, so there's time for us to take action in that interim if something comes up.
Well, okay, we got a motion on the floor made by Dan to approve this without the ITD so that the guy can get the building permit process going. It was seconded by Tom. Wayne had something he wanted to throw out here. Were you done?
Now.
No, you can still.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just to
Bill,
be
you got a
clear.
question, your point?
Yeah, just to clarify, if the development agreement isn't modified, the traffic study is still required before permits are issued. So if you want the lot to be fully available for a building permit, then I think you need to direct staff to prepare an amendment to the development agreement to come back to committee next week. Just removing conditions
Okay,
from
I'm picking
the...
up what you're putting down
Yeah.
then. But I will, if it's okay with the seconder, we'll go ahead
If I
and
may,
direct for that.
I would not put that in the motion. You can direct staff, after the motion's been voted on, direct staff, and we will bring that modification for your consideration as directed.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to start with the roll with,
Question, please.
okay.
if this passes, is the developer going to continue to work on the traffic study? Or does that stop?
If this passes, that obligation still remains in the development agreement, and it runs with the land.
I understand, but it also was in place back when you did the duplex lots, and we let that slide.
It was.
We did not put this requirement on the first lot division that's now being shifted. I just hate to see a started traffic study that's been to ITD, had comments, that the engineer says is going to do some ping-ponging before everybody gets in agreement. I'd personally hate to see that dropped.
Tom?
I think the concern that I have is that if we isolate traffic studies to just this one square or this one...
It's not. It's for the entire property.
Right, and that's what's important. I think we look at the whole thing, and that's what we need to see. Because we've let it slip in the past, as Walter said. So I just want to make sure we're not going to let it...
I mean, I can agree to this, if I may, I can agree to this motion if I feel comfortable that the traffic study work will continue.
And I'll tell you that the owner of the property intends to finish the traffic study, so
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, we're ready for a vote on this thing. I'll start with John.
Aye.
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 Okay, it passed 6-0.
We can give staff direction.
Yeah, we need Dan. You want to tell him what you want to do here?
Come back next week with modifications to public work finance.
If you need to.
And I would note as well that as the council or committee considers that next week, the committee can, and subsequently the council, can make sure that the traffic study is completed
Right.
during that time.
Okay, I think we're good to go, huh?
Well, one comment
You have
there.
a comment?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that in our direction to staff for the modification of the development agreement, that we make sure that the can does not continue to be kicked down the road. And because
Right.
this traffic study has got to be done, and piecemeal development cannot continue without the study being finished eventually. And so far, the city's lever has been withholding the development permit. So far, so good, but I don't want to see it going too much further down the road than this, because this will be the second time we've punted down the road, and it has got to stop.
Well, staff's got direction, and it's going to be coming forward to our committee.